Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Zoro, the three-sword demon, finally laying his hands on Yoru, the black blade that Mihawk carries on his back like the weight of his title as the world's greatest swordsman. And now, at this moment, we're going to talk about Zoro's reaction and everything that happens when he finally holds that sword in his hand. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, Yoru is one of the 12 Saijo Owazamono, the elite of all blades black as the abyss, and big enough for Mihawk to use it as a chair when he's bored. In the manga, we first see it in action back in the Bharati arc, around chapter 50-something, when Mihawk sliced Krieg's ship like he was cutting bread. Then, at Marineford, it split Aokaji's ice like tissue paper. And during the time skip, Zoro spent 2 years training with Mihawk himself, learning how to infuse haki into his blades, to the point that, in Punk Hazard, he cut Monet without even touching her. But holding Yoru, Oda never showed that. Never. Not even a tiny panel, not even a flashback in the corner of a page. And that, my friends, is the kind of silence Oda uses to hide an emotional atomic bomb. Because Zoro doesn't just want to defeat Mihawk, he wants Yoru as a trophy, as proof that the summit belongs to him. So let's imagine the scene based on everything Zoro has already shown us, his obsession, respect, and insatiable hunger for greatness. I see this happening in a post-Wano moment, maybe right after the clash with Blackbeard or during the Elbaf arc, when the world is already upside down because of Vegapunk's revelations. Mihawk, who in the current manga is sailing with Crocodile in the Cross Guild, appears in a forced encounter. Maybe the Straw Hats cross paths with the guild at a neutral port, like an island where even the world government pretends not to see. Zoro, who in Wano sliced Kaido with Enma and earned the title King of Hell, is at the peak of his confidence, but still with that spark in his eyes that says it's still not enough. Basura Mihawk, with that hawk-like gaze that pierces souls, notices the fire and, in a gesture only Oda could make look natural, extends Yoru. Hold it, swordsman. See if you can bear the weight of what you desire most. And then, Zoro, without hesitation, without blinking, takes it. The initial reaction? Silence. A silence so heavy even the wind stops. Because Zoro isn't the type to shout, jump, or make a scene. He's the guy who lost an eye and said, "That was good training," but inside? A volcano. I imagine his fingers closing around Yoru's hilt, feeling the perfect balance, the weight that isn't just metal, but history. Every strike that cut a Yonko, every duel that defined eras. The manga showed us, back in chapter 561, Zoro training with Mihawk, carrying boulders, slicing air, but never with Yoru in his hands. So, this would be the first true contact with a tangible dream. And Zoro, with that crooked smile he only gives when he's truly excited, would say something simple. Of course, it's lighter than I imagined, but it cuts deeper. Because to Zoro, weight isn't physical. It's the weight of responsibility that comes with the title. But let's go back to the time skip, because the big question is, could this have already happened? Oda is a master at keeping aces up his sleeve, and Zoro's training with Mihawk is one of the biggest black holes in the story. We know Zoro learned to coat his blades with black haki, that he cut Pika and Dressrosa so easily even Doflamingo swallowed hard. But Yoru? Would Mihawk really let his student touch the sacred blade? Based on what we saw in chapter 597, when Zoro returned from Kuraigana with new scars, and an expression that said, "I saw hell and came back laughing." It's possible, very possible. Imagine it. In the ruined castle, Mihawk, bored as ever, tosses Yoru to Zoro one random training day. Cut the air. Let's see if you can handle the echo. And Zoro, already carrying broken swords as extra weight, grabs it. But his haki, still raw, can't handle Yoru's resonance. The blade vibrates. Mihawk's black haki rings like a bell, and Zoro is thrown back, nose bleeding, arm trembling. But he laughs loud, the way he does when Luffy drags him into another insane adventure. Again, harder. And if that did happen, that reaction from Zoro would be the seed of what we'd see post-Wano. Because Zoro isn't easily impressed, but Yoru isn't just a sword. It's a mirror of what he wants to become. In the current manga, with Zoro cutting King using Conqueror's haki, we can see he's on the path to surpass Mihawk. So, if he did hold Yoru during the time skip, his reaction now would be different. Not shock, but recognition. Like, "I know you, you're what I'm going to kill." And Mihawk, with that knowing smile, would reply, "Not yet, swordsman, but close." Now let's dive into what would go on inside Zoro's head when he first holds Yoru, whether during the time skip or after Wano. In chapter 188, when Zoro faces Mihawk in East Blue, he loses miserably, but earns respect. Mihawk sees in him the same fire he once had as a youth. So, when Mihawk hands over Yoru, he's not being kind, he's testing him, and Zoro knows that. His reaction would be a mix of reverence and challenge. He wouldn't drool over the sword like a fan, he'd test it. A slash through the air, a spin, a strike that cracks the ground for miles. And then the smile. That's Zoro's smile when he's in the zone, when the sword sings. That's it. That's what I came for. But what about the crew? Because Zoro doesn't exist in a vacuum. Luffy, who in the current manga is dealing with Gear 5th and the weight of being Joy Boy, would look at Zoro holding Yoru and laugh, "Shi. Zoro, you look like one of Usopp's stories." Sanji would snap, "Don't bring that black thing near my kitchen, Mosshead." But deep down, he'd respect it. Frankie would want to upgrade it. Super! Imagine a Yoru with lasers. And Brook, of course. Yo ho 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 ho! What an elegant sword. May I see your panties? Oops, I mean blades. And the impact on Zoro? Profound, because Yoru isn't just a sword. It's the symbol of what he promised Quina. In Chapter 5, he swears to become the greatest swordsman. Holding Yoru is touching that promise. It's like Luffy touching the One Piece. So his reaction would be internal. A flash of memory, the dojo. Quina falling down the stairs. The oath under the moonlight. Then Zoro gritting his teeth. "Quina, I'm almost there." No tears. Zoro doesn't cry, but his haki would leak out, making the air tremble, just like in Wano when he split the sky. If this happened during the time skip, Zoro kept it to himself, because that's how he is. He carries the weight alone. But post Wano, having mastered Enma, he would use Yoru as his benchmark. "I cut Kaido. Next, I cut the world." And Mihawk, watching, would nod. "Come, Roronoa, when you're ready." To sum it up, Zoro's reaction would be a symphony of silence, respect, and hunger. Whether during the time skip or in the future, holding Yoru marks the moment when the hunter becomes the hunted. And Oda, with his perfect timing, will give us that scene when we least expect it. Maybe in Elbaf, maybe in the final clash with the Cross Guild. But when it happens, the world will tremble. Because Zoro with Yoru in his hand isn't just a swordsman. He's the end of one era and the beginning of another. When Zoro finally holds Yoru, it won't just be the meeting between man and sword. It'll be the convergence of two wills that have shaped ages. From the moment Roronoa swore beneath the moon that he would become the world's greatest swordsman, every strike, every scar, and every defeat were steps leading to this instant. Yoru, the black blade among the 12 Saijo Owazamono, carries the weight of history. Zoro carries the weight of a promise. And when those two weights meet, the world of One Piece will tremble. The scene doesn't need words. Oda understands that Zoro speaks best through silence. Imagine a neutral port, perhaps in Elbaf, where the Cross Guild and the Straw Hat Pirates cross paths. The air is still, the wind hesitates. Mihawk, the man who stood at the summit for decades, faces his former disciple. The Hawk's gaze is no longer that of a master judging a student. It's the look of a warrior evaluating his successor. No ceremonies, no speeches. He simply extends Yoru. See if you can bear the weight of what you desire most. Zoro doesn't hesitate. His fingers close around the hilt of the blade, and for a second, time freezes. Yoru vibrates as if recognizing the touch of someone who shares the same hunger. Zoro's haki flows uncontrollably, and the ground around him cracks in thin lines, as though the world itself were being sliced by the mere presence of that union. Then, in a rough whisper, he says, "It's lighter than I imagined, but it cuts deeper." That's the moment when the sword hunter understands that weight isn't physical. The true weight is the responsibility of carrying the title he's chased his entire life. Yoru is the summit, the symbol of the promise made to Quina, the reflection of what he's always sought. Not just to be the strongest, but to be the most worthy. But the most fascinating part is imagining whether this contact has already happened. Zoro's training in Kuraigana is one of the greatest mysteries of the time skip. Mihawk, solitary and bored, seeing in Zoro a mirror of his own past, it would make sense that at some point he tested him. Cut the air. See if you can withstand the echo. Zoro, still raw, infuses his haki into Yoru and is thrown back, arm trembling, blood dripping from his nose. He laughs, and that laugh is what Mihawk recognizes. The laugh of someone who faces the impossible as routine. If that moment truly happened, it planted the seed of what we'll see in the future. Because when Zoro raises Yoru again, he won't just be holding a sword, he'll be touching his destiny itself. The sound of metal will echo with memories. The dojo, Quina, the oath beneath the moon, Luffy's smile, King's scream as he's cut in Wano. Everything aligns, everything converges. In the end, there will be no applause, no crowns, no thrones, only the pure, absolute, and eternal sound of a black blade cutting through the sky, the sound of a promise fulfilled. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.